There's people that have careers as like warlock kind of bad people that like are
bad
like,
people.
Not bad people, but like.
Are all warlocks bad?
No, I didn't mean bad. That's not what I was saying.
Your traditional Christian roots are showing.
No, don't even. Get out of here. Get out of that. Leave. Get out.
Oh, Johnny, that's hurtful.
Get out. I'm sorry. I forgive myself. It's important to forgive yourself, you know.
Hey, and welcome to our unplanned hour of merriment with me, Carly Jansen, and my partner in crime, life, and parenting, Johnny Jansen. Okay, so we took a couple of weeks off for camping and sheer busyness, but we are happy to be back, and we have all kinds of wily things to talk about. Witches and warlocks, for instance, are one of the most pressing subjects. Halloween is coming after all. We also talk about spooky stuff. We share camping stories, and we discuss the paralyzing issue many parents have, deciding what the heck to do with the spare time when you finally get it. Anything you hear in the podcast that you want to know more about, just check out the show notes at carlyandjohnny.com for episode 25. And if you don't find what you're looking for there, hit us up on Facebook or Twitter with links from our website. Are you ready for merriment? Of course you are. Come on in. Okay,
so I'll read it again. Blow your mind, tantalize your taste buds, and feed your core with our robustly flavored line of live fermented drinks.
Okay.
1 part ancient probiotic elixir and 1 part California fresh. Gut shot is like anything you've ever experienced.
I feel nervous right now, like my heart is pounding.
Trust your gut and take a shot. You'll immediately notice a spring in your step, a lift to your spirits, and a twinkle in your eye. You'll be hooked once your body has discovered the powerful benefits of our tangy, pleasing, tart
I feel
drink.
Tangy and pleasing, they say. There's something about the fact that they're talking about the benefits of it on your body that makes me think it's going to taste so foul. And also the fact that it's called gut shot.
Okay.
It's like, do you know what a gut shot is? When somebody punches you in the stomach.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I'm nervous.
Yeah, maybe. That's not good branding.
It's not very good branding. It's
They've
almost as bad as
committed
that.
to it.
It's almost as bad as that pot shop in Vancouver called Stressed and Depressed.
Oh, that's the
You're
worst.
like, that really makes me want to go there.
I'm not going to go to a store called Stressed and Depressed. I'm going to stay away from that store.
Or how about that assisted learning place called Kumon, but the O has like a stick face that looks really like kind of bummed out and unimpressed, and you're like, oh yeah,
face.
I'm going to bring my kid to that place that looks like it makes people sad.
Oh man, that was in Kelowna.
No, they've got it here too.
Oh, I don't like that place.
Well, I know, right? Like that's branding for you.
That's Brandon for you.
So let's see if this branding is accurate. If I have a reason to be nervous.
Pour in
How
the
much
shots?
is that like a double shot?
I don't know.
Are we really supposed to be taking this like a shot?
Sure.
Okay.
It says gut shot.
So, well, then we're punching each other in the stomach is what we're doing.
Okay. We're doing this.
Oh my gosh. It smells so
pretty good,
foul.
Smells pretty sour.
Oh, okay. Are we cheersing?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Cheers
My gosh.
to healthy guts. Are you ready? Let's do it.
Oh.
Not bad. Tastes like cabbage water.
What?
That was great.
I
didn't mind it.
Okay. I feel like I just ate like kind of starting to rot kimchi soup broth.
Yeah. This is like kimchi with jalapeno, with smoked jalapeno. Wow.
Or like I just drank the sauerkraut water.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what, because I think this is like it is cabbage. It is fermented cabbage.
We'll see how it works for us. You know, like people take probiotics all the time, and they do other things. You know, this is only mildly unpleasant.
Yeah, but you know what? I like it. It's one of those weird things that because it tastes bad, you think that it's like better for you.
I feel like my reaction to this is probably the same as my reaction when I tried coffee as a child.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, or like, and people are like, it's an acquired taste. One day you're gonna love it.
Or like the first time you tried like whiskey or something, and you're like, how could anybody drink this? Now,
get
a nice glass of whiskey. Sure, I'll take it.
On the rocks.
Not vodka. Maybe if it's good vodka. Have you ever sipped on vodka?
Vodka? Yeah, I have sipped on vodka.
Just by itself, no ice. Mm-hmm. What?
Yeah, I've done that before. Guaranteed.
You're crazy.
I mean,
why?
I can't recall the situation, but you can probably understand why.
Vodka is my barf story.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, everybody has one of those. Yeah. They're like, there's so many people, and sometimes it's surprising. They're like, I can't drink gin.
Can't drink, which is like, bizarre to me.
I know. I'm like, for some reason, just the idea of drinking so much gin that you barf is like, why?
Yeah, because gin is in for me. Well, I love gin.
It's also like pretty, I don't know, it's like a pretty distinct flavor that I feel like you don't drink a lot of gin usually when you're in your early drinking days. You kind of work your way up to that one a little bit because it's just so distinct. I've been
enjoying gin on its own lately. We got some local great gin.
Still don't understand why it's like incredibly sapphire blue.
Yeah, me neither. It says it's natural. I think it's because of the type of juniper berries.
Maybe. I'd like to see the entire process behind the scenes before I believe it.
You know, I don't need to see the process. I can just trust it and believe it.
Atheist versus spiritual person.
Well, I don't know about that. I would argue with that.
Just giving the comparison.
Atheist
the
versus
metaphorical.
Spiritual person? You mean religious person?
No, spiritual person. I don't have to see it in order to believe it.
Oh,
I don't
yeah,
need to
I guess
have proof in order to believe it.
Huh. I've been getting real spooked lately.
Yeah, because you've been listening to that spoopy podcast.
Yeah, I've decided to depart from my usual
what made you do that?
Well, we had our 3-year-old niece. We just got back from camping with her, and she's been loving spooky stories.
I don't know. Her parents have no idea why she's so into spooky stories.
It's really fun, and she would get us to tell our spooky stories, and then I was like, oh, I could go for a spooky story right now. So
really?
Maybe it's
and that is what caused you to find this podcast?
That in combination, it was an ad before another podcast I listened to. That was also WNYC Studios.
Okay, and so what is this podcast?
It's called Creeped. It's Glenn Washington. He also did the series Heaven's Gate, which follows the cult Heaven's Gate, who has the largest, I think at the time, I think they still have the record of the largest mass suicide in the US.
Wow.
But it's really creepy because it's like all these like futuristic kind of people. They believe that like space aliens were going to come get them when this asteroid was passing Earth, and they all committed suicide at this right specific time.
Crazy. And so anyway, they talk about this in the Creeped podcast.
I actually think I remember talking about this podcast on like one of our first podcasts ever. Anyways, This guy's a great host, and he's a great what's the word? Aggregator? Oh. When you're just like pulling stories from people.
That's an amazing word, Johnny.
Aggregator?
I wouldn't even be able to define it.
Really? Mm-hmm. Oh, man, I hope it's a word. I'm going to look it up right now. Aggregator, not aggravator.
Definitely not aggravator.
Aggregator. Because there's aggregate. Right? Mm. Right? Aggregate?
Yeah, aggregate is a word. I can definitely tell you that. I just can't define it.
So the whole formed by combining several elements. That makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
Aggregator. I take away the E and add an OR. Aggregator, a website or program that collects related items of content and displays them or links to them.
It's probably not just a website.
No,
that's probably just the first definition. Okay, so anyway, that was
news aggregator.
Anyway, so you were saying that this guy is a great aggregator.
He's a great aggregator, as they call it. I'm good at words. I'm good at wording.
You're pretty good.
I'm okay.
You're actually fantastic after
That's
that.
That's not true. Don't even.
You're really good.
Get out of here.
No.
Get out. Leave.
I actually can't believe, Johnny, how, like, I don't know if it was just a fluke because this project is so close to your heart, but your director's, what is it called, statement on this documentary pitch that you're working on right now blew my freaking mind. Are we doing another shot of this right now?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
I felt great after it.
I know. I feel pretty good, too, actually.
I like the smell, too. I think I think when somebody else doesn't like it, it makes me want to be like, I'm a tough boy.
Maybe you're just trying to be a contrarian.
Yeah, but
something.
I used to be big into juicing, so I would just drink the craziest juices.
No, but that's totally not the same as this.
Yeah.
Thank you
It
very
does.
much.
It is like.
It's a little barf inducing.
Yeah. Anyways, cheers.
Cheers.
We're sitting on chairs.
Ugh. What else does that remind me of? Cabbage. Just cabbage.
It's just a bunch of cabbage and jalapenos. They probably make sauerkraut and they're like, we're just dumping on all this sauerkraut water. why don't we just sell it and people will drink it? And like, that's crazy. Nobody's ever going to drink this cabbage water.
This is the new thing, though. It's like, why throw it out when you can use it and make a product out of it?
And it's good for you, apparently.
Apparently.
And guess how many grams of sugars? 1.
0?
1.
Oh, there's 1 gram.
Per 45 mil.
Which is?
45 milliliter. And this is 473 milliliters in here.
So probably we've just had like 3 or 4 grams of sugar.
Oh, no. See, I got tricked. I was like, 1 gram.
This is great. But see, you're only supposed to do 45 mils out of the 473 that bottle is.
Anyways, enough about
saying
cabbage water.
That director's statement blew my mind because you took the story about our very dear friend passing away and the kind of the experience that we have had since then and leading up to it. You just like captured it so incredibly well. I didn't actually think that it could be summed up in several paragraphs like that, and the way that you told it from your own personal point of view. I was just really impressed with your writing. I read it and I was like, I did not know that Johnny could write like this.
You didn't believe in me?
Not that exactly.
Oh, okay.
Not that I didn't believe in you, but you always just bash your writing and that you hate writing.
I hate it so much.
Yeah, but it's really good. Once you actually, you're what I found very impressive was that your voice is really solid in it.
Oh.
Like you have a very clear voice and it's very authentic and you're really well spoken in the way that you write. So anyway, great job.
Oh, well, thank you.
And I think this documentary is going to be funded.
Well, let's hope so.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if it's not funded, we're going to make it.
Yeah.
That's the thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of those projects that needs to get done. We're not going to wait around until people give us money.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Way to go.
Our expenses are little. We can basically do it ourselves. But it would be nice to get help.
Totally. And also time, because if you get funded, then you can take a leave of absence from work
Sure.
to do some of the work on it.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Buy you some time, literally.
Yeah, but time equals money.
Exactly.
That's a new concept. That's so interesting that happened at some point in time.
Where time equaled money.
Where they're just like...
Did not used to be like that.
Where they're just like, oh, you know what? You can sell your time. Somebody was just like, you know what? If you pay me, I'll stand around in your field all day for 8 hours and do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to like pay you for like this job or do this. It's more just like, I'm going to just reserve you for this whole day, even if you don't do anything.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. That has to be a concept that came.
It's actually quite amazing how quickly things normalize. Really amazing. Like they call it
hyper normalization.
Yeah. Or shifting baseline is another thing that it was called in the Once and Future World book.
Shifting baseline.
Shifting baseline.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that better.
Yeah, well, in the Once and Future World, what they're talking about more so in using that term for is how our generations to come, like with each generation, they have a new norm for, the way the world is when it comes to, how many high rises there are or where, what forests used to be there or how many animals there are on the planet or extinct species. Like every time new generations come into the world, they have this shifted baseline of like, this is normal. And from there, once the environment starts to degrade, that's when they think it's a problem. But most of the time, their parents' generation is like, I know what it used to be and it's already gotten really bad. But the kids who are born are like, this is my norm.
Huh.
So that's the shifting baseline phenomenon.
Yeah, that's why there's all the stereotype of the old, in my day.
Mm-hmm.
And the kids are like,
yeah, Grandpa.
We don't have that perspective. So if in fact, if their lifestyle changed over to their grandparents' lifestyle, they would be like, in my day. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Totally.
It wasn't this hard.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Well, so and the reason why I say this shifting baseline thing is because just today I was talking with Cassie, my sister, about how smoky it is in Vancouver
You can look
and all of
directly in the
BC. It's
sun, yeah.
crazy. And so,
It's
but
everywhere.
last summer was the same way. And at a certain point this summer, I was like, oh my gosh, I think we dodged it. I don't think we're going to get this. And then bam, it happened.
Mm-hmm.
And she was saying, is this just it now? Is this how our summers are? Because it feels like everybody's just kind of accepting it so quickly. And I was like, well,
what else are you?
What else are we gonna do? Just all be like, oh man,
All the time.
panicking all the time, or really? But like, it's unsettling for sure.
What are we gonna do? Move?
But that's the thing, is you just have to trudge forward. You just have to carry on, and the way that you do that is by just normalizing.
Yeah, because it kind of gets annoying when everybody's like, "Oh yeah, there's smoke around here. Oh, it sounds like we're a bunch of parrots."
Although
we got to move on.
Totally. But I will say it makes for some good connection with strangers. So I was walking on the street today, and my face, I think that I had an expression on my face that I couldn't keep off of it because there was like an open dumpster nearby, and it was so rank. But this guy had just come out of Bilo. He has like a Bilo uniform on.
Oh.
And he kind of has a bit of a look on his face too, because it was a particularly smoky day today. And he looks at me and he's like, it's not very nice out, is it? And I was like, no, not at all. And he's like, yeah, that's terrible. Well, it was kind of like oh, hello. Nice day today. Hey, how are you? Like, pretty good. Instead it was just like, it's not a nice day right now.
This is bad. This is bad. And you're like, this is bad.
Yeah.
Except for you can stare right into the sun.
That's pretty cool.
Well, you shouldn't.
No, we really shouldn't.
But I did today.
How many people have just been saying like, oh, look at the sun. It's like, don't say that out loud to my child because he's going to go blind in the winter.
He's going to look at the sun, yeah. But, well.
Pretty sure that we have like good reflexes to look away from bright things. So he's going to be okay.
Yeah.
But like, I wonder what children are just really determined and like, tenacious that they're just like, oh, you know what, I'm just gonna like put my mind to this thing. I'm gonna look at the sun. I'm gonna see how long I can look at the sun. Kind of like, how long can I hold my breath underwater,
right?
And then like you only do it once and now you're screwed. I wonder if anybody has stories like that. I looked at the sun when I was a kid and that's why I can't see.
I'm blind. I don't know, maybe. I haven't heard one.
No.
So it must not be that common.
I've heard it like told as warnings.
Right.
The same kind of warning, like don't make that face too long. It'll stay that way.
Maybe that's just like parents being like, oh, you'll get a wrinkle. You'll get wrinkles.
My mom told me not to rub my eyes because I'd get wrinkly eyes.
Did you?
But that's actually true.
But as a kid, are you like, oh no, wrinkles?
Well, not as a kid. It was more as a teenager or like a young adult.
Right.
And yes, I did stop rubbing my eyes.
Huh. See, I like getting wrinkles, natural wrinkles, not like smoker wrinkles that some people can get.
But see, already you're saying that there's types of wrinkles that you don't want, which is exactly, I think, how most of us wrinkle warriors are. It's like not that you're worried about, the laugh line wrinkles or whatever, but it's like certain wrinkles that you just like, and you can't control that. You're like, oh, I'll be fine. Like I'll lie in the sun and I'll get a nice, nicely aged, gracefully face, but you don't get to choose where the wrinkles show up.
Right. Man, some people have like the craziest wrinkles. Like their whole it's just like
deep wrinkles.
Man, I've seen, or like people that are covered in warts.
Yeah, how does that happen? Or what about those really bulbous noses? I want to know how that happens. Did they like pop too many zits on their nose or something?
I don't know. Or just like, maybe was it like that since they were like, when did that start happening?
Yeah. These are things that I think about because you're like, well, aging is in my future. I'm aging right now.
I was at a Wiccan festival.
That's always the start of a good story.
Well, it was a Wiccan festival. It was great. It was fun. And there's a bunch of witches there and wizards. Or can men be witches? What are they? The warlocks?
Warlocks.
Warlocks?
There you go,
Okay. Bunch of them there. It was really quite nice. I liked it. And there was like the most stereotypical witch I've ever seen. I'm like, wow. Like that's I was like, how? Like what
made her so stereotypical?
Covered in warts. Wow. Had the long nose.
Wow.
It was just like, wow. Like what came first?
I was just gonna say the chicken or the egg.
Yeah, was it just like, well, I look this way, so might as well be a witch.
I guess we're gonna follow the signs here.
Or is it? I don't know. It's so bizarre, and it's like that is like very classic look for witches clearly because it's made it in storybooks and
Yeah.
But then I was like, I always assumed that just being like, well, that's probably like some like early propaganda that witches are bad because they're drawn in this way.
Totally.
But when I was like, oh, and she's like a witch. She looked like a grandma, like she's like a real witch.
Oh my goodness. Did she have the square shoes? Do you remember that movie?
No.
That witches movie that like there was...
No.
The witches had square shoes because they had square toes. It was
What?
very strange. I don't know. It's like one of those like the vampires don't go in the sun because they're sparkly type of additions to a witch.
I just remember watching a witch show where... Oh, this is crazy. It's coming back to me. I forget what it's called. Bewitched? No, not Bewitched. That's an old one.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a show about witches. Anyways, in like the 90s.
I think I know exactly what you're talking about. I don't remember what it's called either, but there was like 3 hot witch girls.
Yeah.
Right?
And anyways, one of them, I don't know the storyline, but like they shrunk somebody and put them in a jar. And I remember being like, that's the most terrifying thing in the world, to be shrunken. And then I had like a fear of giants, and I had a recurring giant dreams.
Whoa! So do you think that it was originated from that show?
No, because I remember having giant dreams when I was young.
Okay.
But that was just like really
recurring giant
scary.
dreams that were freaky. Did you ever have it where the giants were eating you up?
No.
Because that's a whole different thing. But that's more of like a fetish. People want to be swallowed by giants.
Agoraphobia. No. Because agoraphobia is when you're afraid of being swallowed.
I don't know. Don't ask me. Agoraphobia is fear of going outside. Maybe leaving your home.
Something gore. Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. We'll just move on.
But I wanted to say on the witch topic.
Vorophilia.
What?
It's vor. V-O-R.
Vorophilia.
Yeah, vorophilia is it's just like you like.
What? Tell us what it is.
Eaten alive.
Oh, to be eaten alive? Oh.
Yeah. Paraphilia. So vorophilia is a paraphilia characterized by the erotic desire to be ... Click here to learn more.
Oh, of course.
I'm just gonna say to be swallowed. I know it.
Right.
So it's vor, not gorapho. It's vor.
What was the paraphilia thing?
Is a paraphilia characterized? I don't know. What does paraphilia mean?
It's like some
words.
mincing hairs. Word stuff is bugging me. I don't want to do this anymore. But I wanted to say back to talking about witches. That reminds me of, once again, our niece Addie, who loves the spooky stories, also just like wanted to play witch. Like, okay, let's be witches. And so we were doing this. But the funny thing is, I realized that she's only 3, right? But she's really smart and speaks very, very well. Her vocabulary is very large and understands a lot of things. So sometimes you take for granted that, oh, yeah, you're only 3 years old. So she's like, oh, let's do spooky stories and let's be witches. But I realized she actually does get really scared from it, even though she likes it. So at a certain point with like pretending to be witches, I do a pretty good sell on being a witch. And so I could tell she was starting to get a little bit scared. So I had to tone it down.
Aw.
And then we were also, we went searching for, she wanted to go explore in the forest a little bit, just a little walk away from the camp. And I was like, okay, what are we doing? And we're whispering. And she's like, we got to find Sandra. And I was like, are we calling for Sandra or do we not, we don't want Sandra to know we find her. She's like, we got to be really quiet. And I was like, okay. So we're looking around for Sandra, and like we were walking and looking, and then like paused to look at some neat kind of bark and pick up pine cones and stuff. And then we're like, okay, maybe could Sandra be in there? And I'm slowly trying to find out like, what is this Sandra exactly? Can Sandra fit in that log? Can Sandra, go up that tree? Like, what's going on here? And finally Addie told me Sandra's a bear.
And there was a bear sighted, like we were talking about a bear that's been around.
Well, I don't think in that case she was talking about the bear that had been around. I don't think she made that connection. She's a
pretty good listener.
Yeah, but
I mean, what are the odds?
Pretty good. If you're in a forest and you're playing pretend, you might come up with an idea that we're searching for a bear. I think it wasn't related.
I think it was.
Okay. So anyway, moving on, saying that
We'll
it wasn't related.
Agree that I was right.
We'll agree to disagree, and we'll say that
agree
I was
to
right because
agree.
I was there and you weren't.
Yeah, but we're talking about a bear.
Yeah,
it was
but
a topic
I
of
was there.
conversation, and there's bear poo that morning on, I'm like, oh, there's bear.
But it was like, when you see a kid making something up and there's like that magic in their eyes, like this is just really fun.
But
it was pure fun. So anyway,
okay. All right.
Let me move on.
But it was a bear.
So anyway, we're saying Sandra the bear we're looking for and all this stuff. And so, but as we finally were coming up to like this place that, hey, maybe a bear could fit in this spot. There's like a mass of a few rocks, and it's like, oh my gosh, Addie, I think we found it.
Oh,
we found
what?
Sandra's home, and we're coming up to it. She's like, actually, Sandra's a bunny. And I was like, oh. It was just like, oh, she's actually getting a little bit scared. Once again, Auntie Carly is just selling it a little too hard.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's scary.
Actually, Sandra's a bunny.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because especially listening to these spooky podcasts, while they're true, quote unquote, stories. I mean, not scientifically true, but the people that are on claim it happened to them. And there's some people who see spirits. I've that's a phenomenon in the human condition, that there are people that claim to see dead people and whatnot. And my grad date was one of those people, and it took her a long time. It was like years after.
So you were going to say my grad date was a dead person.
She was a dead person, and I saw her. So I asked her to my grad. But she was, she saw spirits. She told me that like years later and was very like bashful about it. Because she just says people think I'm crazy, but I always have. Wow. And like auras and whatnot. Anyways, there is
something about like when somebody says that they see ghosts, immediately you just imagine it like somebody who's a little bit touched.
Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Touched?
Yeah. Touched in the head. I don't know what.
Isn't touched being like, oh, I feel that's good.
That's the more like popular way of using the term, but touched is like if you're touched in the head, it means like you're a little bit like funny in the head. Yeah.
I've never heard of that
It's
before.
just a little old fashioned.
Really?
Yeah.
Touched.
I read some old fashioned books.
But you've been touched by whom? A spirit. The devil.
Yeah.
Anyhow. There are people out there. I was just listening to a podcast, and they're a lot of the times they're happy with the spirit. They think it's normal. They don't need to tell anybody, and they enjoy it until a bad spirit comes around or a bad ghost or whatnot, and then it gets really scary.
Right.
So it's interesting with Addie. I don't know. When she was staying here, she said there was something in the bedroom watching her.
I see what you're getting at here.
She talks about, I think she calls them stagios.
What?
You haven't heard her talk about stagios?
No.
That's her name for it. And she's like, they're like skeleton statue scary guys. And she's always like, oh, the stagios. She talks about them a lot.
What?
Yeah, stagios.
Do her parents know where that term came from?
No idea.
What? I also remember actually 2 summers ago camping with her. And I remember she kept grabbing my watch and saying to the face, Shanna. And everybody was like, I don't know. I'm not sure what she's saying. And it sounded like she was calling like Shannon to my watch over and over and over again. And like it would happen like recurring numerous times throughout the week, where she would just all of a sudden see my watch and just like pull it close to her face and start like saying something to it. What? And that was like before people were using Apple Watches and stuff. And we were just like, what is this about? So I don't know.
Shanna.
Kids do weird things. It might be completely unrelated, but I just remember being really like, what is this about?
Spooky. And it's so interesting that she's just like, all she wants to do is hear spooky stories. Maybe it might be a phase, but...
Oh, you gave me some more of this delicious junk.
Oh,
it's not junk. It's feeling good in my belly,
but... It does feel good.
Not in my mouth.
Oh,
Ready?
What? Chairs. We sit on them.
Oh.
It's nice. I'm actually really enjoying it.
Worse every time.
I say it's better. It's like pickle juice, too.
Pickle juice is much better than that.
No way.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
I remember I had a
because
truth
you know
or
the
dare.
smell of cabbage always has a little bit of like barf smell to it.
No.
And then add jalapeno to the mix.
Oh yeah, tell me about it. There are more flavors. There's a kimchi and a garlic dill.
Garlic dill I would probably be most prone to.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, maybe I should have done that one.
What's this one again?
Jalapeno.
Oh, okay. Well,
Smoked jalapeno.
the heat helps to burn away the terrible flavor.
I like it.
Good. Well, I'm happy that we are trying it.
Yeah, it's good to try new things sometimes. Sometimes not good to try certain things.
Trying new things actually makes time move slower.
Oh.
Well, it allows us to perceive time moving slower.
Oh, that's interesting.
I'm reading finally after, I think probably, I'm going to say it was
20
probably
years?
like 8 years ago that I saw the Happiness Project book by Gretchen Rubin at a bookstore. And I stopped and I read some of it and I was like, oh, I'd really like to read that book. And then I just never got around to it. And finally, my dear sister-in-law, Mallory, lent it to me. And now I've been reading it and it's full of really amazing insights so far. I'm feeling like already super inspired.
So how do you become happy? What's the one thing that'll make you happy from what you've learned so far 3/4 of the way through this book?
Growth.
Like that's
Just
why kids are happy
growth.
because they're growing all the time.
Oh, exactly. Absolutely. That's why kids are so happy is because like there's incredible growth happening. That's the time. Their brain's growing the fastest in the first 3 years of life than it ever will again.
It's kind of like, when a plant is growing, and they're producing great fruit and they're like, yeah, baby. And then you can think about like fruit, like when you're, we can produce fruit in the form of art or... Are you doing that on purpose?
What?
Rhythmically tapping on my foot?
It's, no, it's not on purpose. Sorry, it's just my tick.
You anxious?
I don't think I'm anxious.
You scared?
No, I'm feeling it. Usually I do that. Talk? It's actually what I do when I'm starting to feel it. But I remember there was a certain point where my older sister, Jessie, saw me tapping my fingers, the tapping thing that I do. And she was just like, oh my gosh, Carly. And she thought like, you are super anxious right now. And I was like, no, like I'm not anxious. It's just, I don't know. It's just like I've got a rhythm in my head that I'm tapping and it seems like an anxious thing, but I'm maybe like super, super deeply buried subconsciously. It is an anxious thing, but I have no anxiety in my heart at this moment. It's just like feeling a rhythm.
Oh,
that's
all right. Maybe it's this cabbage water that is perking up your spirit fingers.
My spirit fingers. It's not just in my fingers. Like I'm bobbing.
It's in your toes. Oh, I
my
feel
whole
it.
Body.
My attitude is good. I'm happy. I feel
That's
energetic.
good.
I feel like my body's thanking me for this cabbage water.
I feel that too.
It's great.
I will begrudgingly continue drinking this gut shot. And it's not actually like a punch to the stomach like I thought.
No.
The fact that it's called gut shot, definitely. It's, you know what? It's the eye-catching marketing. That's what they're going for with that.
Yeah.
And they're definitely, I feel like they're marketing to men for sure.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
With branding like that?
Gut
shot. It's just like, I
don't know if that's intentional.
You don't think so?
Nah, because it's for everybody. They wouldn't limit themselves.
Honestly, with that type of branding, to decide whether it's intentional or not, usually I'll just look at how big of a company it is. Because the bigger the company, the more intentional they are with their branding usually. The more money they have to just like have all the meetings that everybody sits in, you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. All the research and development people that just spend their time looking at analytics and make decisions based on who's it and what's that and all the numbers and
I was thinking about that today.
And charts and diagrams and
all
Venn
the
diagrams.
All the things. Yeah. And just to come up with one slogan.
And
like what was it actually today I was thinking about it.
Focus groups.
I was at the grocery store and I saw Lay's chips.
Oh, okay.
Grilled cheese flavored. And I remember they started coming out with like all these different flavors and as far as I remember, the slogan was, "You gotta try it."
It? Yeah. Not them? You gotta try them. Because with chips...
but either way. It's just like, you gotta try it. Like, you gotta try this new flavor type of thing.
And did it work on you?
No.
So you didn't try them?
Well, I did because they were free, brought into the radio station. I was like, well, I gotta try it.
Right. Well, it worked then. Because you weren't gonna...
I wasn't gonna
you could have just not have...
No, but this time in the grocery store today, it struck me because like I'm not as like tainted to advertising as I used to be when I worked at the radio station.
Okay.
So now I saw it and in my mind was like, oh, well, you got to try it. you've never tried that flavor before. You got to try it. And then I was like, no. As soon as I realized, and I think a lot of people can relate to this, as soon as I realize I'm being marketed to, or that somebody's trying to trick me into buying their product, I'm like, hell no, not falling for that.
Interesting.
That is the modern consumer, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah, I remember.
That's why it's popular to have like, brown bag marketing.
Yeah, exactly.
Or not brown. I just made up that term. But just like have.
It's a good one. I like it. Brown bag marketing.
But what you got to understand is that's also intentional. And they're going after you. They're going after the people that don't like things over marketed. And they're like, okay, we need to make it look like it's just somebody put in a paper bag and drawn,
but
like a farmer's market.
That's fine.
Is it
because
fine?
I think, yes, because I think ultimately what people want is to be understood. And it's annoying when people don't get you. It's kind of like.
So you don't. You like being marketed to when you don't realize it.
Or just in my language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like no name brand, how does that make you feel?
No name brand, like from Superstore?
Yeah, the white no name, white,
the yellow,
black, yellow. Sorry.
Yeah.
Black text.
I don't like it.
Really?
Yeah, for the most part.
Why not?
I don't like the yellow. There's something about it that just makes me think it'll be cheap. However, I will say, when I was in middle school, the noodle cup that No Name made, way better than Mr. Noodles. I don't know why, but it was coveted.
But you just school. But you look at it and you're like, this is for poor people.
Not exactly.
That's what you thought.
No, I don't think. Putting words into my mouth.
I'm just saying.
No, I don't think about it like that.
But sometimes
it's more just like.
But when you see it with that,
honestly, I look at it and for some reason I just automatically think there's something wrong with it.
Really?
Yeah.
I just think it looks cheap.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe those two are the same type of thing. I just think like there's got to be something wrong with it.
Maybe.
Like what did they do? They cut all the corners. That's what I think. They cut all the corners. They used all the sprays.
So, I mean, they're all like round.
But I'm kind of just facing like my subconscious assumptions now. And I think you're right. Like it's wrong. Like why are the No Name marshmallows not as good as the Jiffy Puff marshmallows? But I think actually, legitimately, I remember having super stale No Name marshmallows in my cupboard at my dad's house. The Jiffy Puffs did not.
Had more chemicals.
Yeah, probably what it was.
That's such a broad term, chemicals. Just like. Or preservatives. We don't even know what that means.
You know what's a preservative? Citric acid, a.k.a. lemon.
You know what else is a preservative? Salt.
Yeah. No preservatives. You're like, okay, well, this is going to rot in 3 days.
But you know what else is a preservative? Formaldehyde. That's not good.
Well,
see?
Isn't it also a carcinogen? Throwing out assumptions here.
And also just like, chemical. There's chemicals in this. Is
all these buzzwords like that you don't want to use.
No.
It's chemicals.
There's chemicals.
Or it's like, you know what is a huge thing in marketing these days is when they'll be like gluten-free. And you're like, well,
on the most dumbest things ever.
You're like, well, of course rice is gluten-free.
Yeah, or sugar, no sugar added is a big one. I'm looking at one right now.
Or how about all natural?
All natural, yeah, organic.
But there's a lot of ways that products can kind of trick you into thinking it's like it's all the things, where they're just like when they say like no preservatives, no sugar added, and you're like, okay, but what are all the other things that are still in here that's like disgusting?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's the age of skepticism, skeptic consumers.
Yeah, cynical too. You can let yourself get cynical about it too. I don't care as much. I mean, I just like eating clean is okay, but like I'm not gonna be mad at a bag of chips. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna just
do to you?
I just be like, you know what, that exists. It's supply and demand. It's like sustainability.
I will say, no.
If like I'm working on a sustainability project at work again because it's
surprise, that's what you do.
Surprise, sustainability. It's a thing, and it's all just consumer habits, right? So the market is going to change based on the demand, and that's on my trip to Vietnam, that was very much demonstrated in the environmental protection laws that the government has put in place, because there is a much higher demand for organic shrimp and sustainable shrimp.
Right.
And so that means organic shrimp means that the nature, the natural environment needs to
ecosystem.
provide the food source instead of like an artificial food source.
So instead of just being like almost like bare like water fields with shrimp in it that they just feed the shrimp, it's like an entire mangrove that is just self-sustaining ecosystem that they keep healthy, and the shrimp get fed that way.
And there's a market for it, and so the government's like, great, let's make sure we protect these mangroves because that's going to be a boost in our economy.
That's cool. That's really cool what you're saying, though, is that people buying more organic shrimp is now putting funding towards more organic shrimp farms, which will then eventually drive the prices of organic shrimp lower.
And that's what, like, I think...
That is why consumers have so much power with what they buy.
And I think that, like, I respect what a lot of, people that are vegan, what they're doing. Because, factory farming, all that is really terrible. But I often think that just boycotting isn't, it's important to have, like, extremes sometimes, right?
There always will be.
Yeah,
I think that's just the yin and yang.
But the real change isn't going to come from like screaming at something. It's going to be just like sculpting it, you know? So like supporting the good guys. There's a lot of good guys doing really great work. And it's more expensive right now, but that's because, we got to just have more people buy into that stuff and then the price will go down.
Totally. When I get like, I don't know, kind of caught up on is, especially after having Forrest in the house now and feeding him food, and there's that dirty dozen with like, these are the top 12 foods that you should be produce that you should be buying organic, because there's so much sprays and whatever on the non-organic ones. So basically like all of the thin-skinned things like tomatoes and peppers and grapes and
peppers is in the part of the dirty dozen.
Yes. And peppers. Cucumbers and grapes and blueberries and all of these things. And like,
strawberries.
It's so hard to find these things organic, especially like, and when you do, it's like a $5 cucumber. And I get so angry, confused about what to do when I'm grocery shopping. Like have that, plus you've got the keto shopping that I got to do, plus, the like thinking about a baby stuff. And I get really confused. And then I just end up leaving without buying any vegetables. Cause I'm like, well, the grape tomatoes were like $10 for a pint for organic ones. And so I guess I can't buy bell peppers because they didn't have any organic ones. So it's just like, well, now we haven't eaten peppers in 6 months. So I've just been really confused about what to do. And so today I bought all non-organic produce from our local grocery store because what?
Shame on you. Just kidding.
We got to eat.
You got to eat and you got to poop.
Yeah, that's all it is. It goes in one end and out the other.
You just pull what you need from it and you get it out of here. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Pooping is a very normal thing to do. Everything does that. Even frogs.
I have to say, I was actually... No, I don't know if we should talk about this, actually.
You don't want to talk about...
Forrest pooping in the woods. Like, not actually in the woods, but...
No, but yeah, he's...
I just thought it was so cool. Like, we were camping with him for a week, and we were in a tent, and everyone else was in campers, which... Yeah. It was so cute seeing him go into the tent, because, like, we're outside almost the entire time. And then we go into the tent. That's like the one indoor safe haven place for him type of thing. And so he's always really excited to go in the tent, and it was cute. But he was waking up like 4:30 in the morning.
Oh,
just awake many of the mornings. But anyway, we would get up and we'd go out, and we had the potty sitting there for him, his little green potty. Yeah. And it was so cute that he would take his little diaper off, because we've been doing the elimination communication thing with him since like 3 months here.
Before that?
No, 1 month. Where you just kind of pick up on the cues that he has to go, and then you take him to the potty and he goes on the potty, whatever. So now we're kind of broaching the territory of he's doing it himself. So you take his diaper off, and just to like watch him play around a little bit, and then like an idea gets in his head and he starts looking around and he's like, oh, there's my potty. And so then he goes over and he's just like trying to like straddle it, and he's always like fumbling a lot with his potty, and it's so cute to see him just like learning this new skill of like, okay, so I have to go to the potty. So now I'm going to go over there and, I got to sit down. How do I do this again? And he just so steadfast. Like he doesn't get discouraged when he like starts to fall over off the potty or when he's sitting on it sideways. It's just like, I love the lack of ego that kids have when they're trying to master something new. Because it's just so outrageous and silly watching them do it, but they have no shame or embarrassment.
That's awesome.
And then, he just did like a whole bunch of pooping on the potty in the woods, and it was fantastic.
Way to go. You poo-poo and you pee-pee on the potty. Way to go, baby.
Really grossed out his papa, though.
Yeah, not me. His grandpa. I was proud of those, those Browns. Proud of those.
It's really confusing, the whole papa thing, I have to say.
Really?
A lot of people call their dad papa, and in like old nursery rhymes and stuff, it's papa.
No, I think.
But then people call their grandpa papa. Like my nieces and my nephews and niece call my dad papa. But with Forrest, if he doesn't call my dad grandpa, then he doesn't have any grandpas, and he's already got one papa. So let's just like keep it from being confusing and call him grandpa.
There's a lot of words in the English language that have double meanings that are opposite, though. Like weather and
pronouns
weather.
Like
weather
that?
and weather.
Yeah, but they have different spellings.
Yeah, but you
read and read. That one's confusing.
Do you spell papa? Yeah, read and read. Same thing. Mm-hmm. So different things. Mm-hmm. You were okay with it.
Yeah.
So why aren't you okay with
this? With pronouns, it's kind of confusing.
Is it?
Yeah, because usually, like especially for a kid, there are not many names that they're learning right off the bat.
Well, first of all, I think a grandpa is papa and a dad is papa. I think that's what it is.
Oh, right. Okay, I guess you really nailed that one.
Yeah, papa.
No, because in Willow, the movie with the little people, they go papa. No, they call him dada. Never mind.
Yeah, see, you're wrong.
Dada.
What about papa?
They're so cute.
Papa.
Pup. Isn't that what you wanted to name our child?
Pup. Yeah, that was my first choice.
You're still holding out for the next one?
Yeah, if it's a boy, then pup. If it's a girl, Shonus. It's a great name. Beautiful names.
I might come around.
Shonus. It's forward thinking.
That's what Shonus means?
Yeah. Hey, what do you think there's going to be a lot of like gender neutral names? And there has been. Like, well,
for sure, like Winter is one that Avery, Winter, Jasper. What are some other ones? Oh my gosh! You know what is going to be the new like odd names? Like everybody has such unique names now. It's actually really crazy to hear people call their children's names. Or like my sister works in childcare, and all of her other friends who work in childcare just like talk about the list of names that they have on these kids, and it's just so many names that you've never heard of before, like, or that like this is the first Tomothy that you've ever met, and like that's the majority of kids these days.
Man, Tomothy, I really hope that becomes a name, because there's nothing wrong with it. Like Tomothy,
what like it's gets drafted up in your mind when you hear the name Tomothy?
A really stand-up nice man.
Really?
Nice boy. Yeah, Tomothy.
It makes me think of Steve Brule, like he would be a Tomothy.
Yeah, mate. No, but no. Nah.
Just be certain about it, Johnny.
Can't be certain.
No?
It's the most uncertain name. It's like, pick one. Timothy, Timothy. Thomas, Timothy, Tom. But I do like Tomothy. I think that's a good name. I think, people will come around to it one day.
I started to write it down, and I'm like, the first 5 letters
Tommy?
are like tomato.
Yeah.
Tomothy Tomato.
Well, our friend
Can you imagine if the kid had like rosacea or something? And
yeah, rosacea. What is that?
Rosacea. I can't remember what it's called.
Is that like
you get really red faced a lot?
Oh.
Tomothy Tomato with the red face.
Yeah, and then they get embarrassed and they're like, "See?
Oh my gosh, we should just write a book about this.
Tomothy,
a children's book.
Oh, can we make Tomothy a character in a children's book?
Yes. Absolutely. My first children's book will be about Tomothy Tomato. Nope, he's not actually a tomato. It's just like kids call him that. And it's going to be a book about compassion and not bullying people because, you got to understand there's a story behind it. And maybe there's a sad ending to the story.
Maybe he
I don't want to.
Squished.
I don't want to talk about it.
What do you think would happen?
Well,
he commits suicide.
I mean, that's the trend these days, but I don't think that's good for a kid's book.
Do you think it's okay to tell kids that they're special?
Yes, absolutely. I think it's 100% okay to tell kids that they're special. And of course, I would say this because I have a song that I sing to Forrest that consists entirely of just saying, you're a special, special boy. But no, I think it's okay to tell them that, and so that they understand that their parents, they're very, very special to their parents.
Right. Okay.
I think that's okay. But
you're very special to me. Yeah. That's to me.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So I think that's fine. But I think there is something, I don't know, you've got to be cautious with making kids think that they're like, I don't know. You've always felt special. I've always felt special.
I've been told I was special. And that honestly has like given me some blind confidence in a lot of situations, and, you know, created...
It's gotten you pretty far, though.
Yeah. Well, it's created a lot of humbling opportunities too, right?
I think everybody has something special inside them. I truly believe that. Like, something special to offer. Everybody has a special set of skills that is entirely their own.
Yeah.
So I think...
Maybe that's not true.
I think, like, to build people's egos up is never a good thing.
There are some dumb-dumbs out there.
I'm sure that they've got skills in certain areas.
Yeah, you know what? That's not a fair thing to say.
No, absolutely not. Just because people aren't necessarily like smart cognitively doesn't mean that they're not like the most incredible nurturers or compassionate, you know.
Right. Or they're good at
communicators, or, you know.
Or they're good at drawing perfect circles.
Yeah, like what if that's
and
a
could
really
you imagine
good skill.
just like look at, and they can, because I can't draw good circles.
Yeah, like the only thing they can do is just like, give me a piece of paper, any piece of paper, I'll draw it. It's like with a crayon, they'll draw a perfect circle. On a rock, they'll draw a perfect circle.
And it is, and you measure it, and you're like, this is like, what's it? The radius? What's the calculation? Circumference?
Yeah.
When you like measure halfway.
Yeah, that's the crap. I can't remember. No, that's the radius.
And you're like, trigonometry. I'm really good at it. You're good at math, Wiz. I bet if you can draw a perfect circle, you're good at math.
No, I don't know. It really depends.
Could
some
you
people's
imagine some just naturally like how Forrest loves to dance.
Either that or they're an incredible artist.
Yeah.
That's another thing that's really interesting about kids and about our niece Addie, who
Is
we
it?
just happen to spend so much time with her. Okay, so this is why we're talking about her so much.
Yeah.
Because A, we love her very much, and B, we just spent a bunch of time with her.
And she's really interesting.
She's really interesting.
We've talked about her a lot.
Yeah, we have. But anyway, I was saying she's actually really an incredible drawer. She has already drawn like stick people with hair and dresses and all of this stuff that it looks like my drawings when I was in kindergarten.
Wow.
But the funny thing is that her parents are like, we have no interest in art and drawing. And so as much as you think like your kids are going to, you know, your nurture is going to influence what your kids are interested in, they're also at a very young age already going to show interests that emerge that clearly it's just the nature, not the nurture.
But Blair, they do have an interest in drawing. Like they facilitate a lot of activities. Blair's a really great drawer.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And
so Jessica was maybe just speaking for herself.
She usually does. All of us mostly speak for ourselves unless we have like a mute companion.
Or can throw our voices really well.
Or translators.
Yep. No, that's true. Translators are speaking for others many times.
But like
I bet you sometimes incorrectly.
Who would I feel like okay with speaking for me? Not very many people.
I speak for you sometimes. Yep, Johnny will do that.
Yeah, that's true. Or like what if it was like you were completely mute and you could only you didn't know sign language and we had to go around and I had to like just like guess, like you're mute, you couldn't even mouth words, you're like your lips were sewn shut.
That sounds awful.
And all of your hands are cut off.
Oh, so I can't even gesture. Well, then I would use my telepathy, of course.
And then I'm like, oh, Carly really wants to go to the race car track. Or Carly feels very upset that you did that to her.
Actually, you know what that just reminded me of is Arrested Development. You remember that character in the like first Netflix season that they had?
No.
Do you remember where they were on the border? And there was that one girl that just like spoke telepathically, and like they're just like misreading her all the time. And she's just like, wow. That was Chloe from 24. Did you ever watch the show 24?
No, but she's in
Cleo. I can't remember.
She's in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia too.
She is?
Oh yeah, baby.
Huh. Good shows. All good shows.
Oh, good shows. TV, movies, love it. Watch it every day. No, I don't.
Yeah, actually, something I discovered last night that was a huge surprise to me because I don't have a lot of spare time these days. And so when I do have spare time, I usually spend like at least 10 minutes totally paralyzed.
What?
Not able to decide what I should do with my spare time. It's this ridiculous, incredibly annoying phenomenon that it's like, well, I could, okay, maybe I should fold laundry. I run through all the things I should do. And then there's the like, no, I definitely should do something for myself. And so then I start shoulding on doing fun things. Like, well, maybe I should watch something because I never get to watch something. But then it's like, I can't even think of anything I want to watch. And then you're like, go read a book. And you're like, well, now I don't want to because I just told myself to do it. And it's this stupid, long cycle of like
shoulding everywhere.
Shoulding all over myself. And meanwhile, it's like, okay, well, half my spare time is gone now. So anyway, last night, I was like, well, what do I feel like doing? And very surprising to me, I wanted to do like paperwork stuff.
Take care of business.
I wanted to take care of business. So it was like, I finally got some spare time. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to change all my credit card information on all of my places because I got a new credit card.
That's crazy.
And it's it was unwinding. I actually unwound doing that. And then I organized the filing cabinet. Well, I purged the filing cabinet.
Way to go. That's a crazy thing to do.
It just was like, it honestly really opened up a whole new world for me because now I'm like, okay, come to terms with the fact that you enjoy organizing and taking care of business and let that be an unwinding thing for you when you have spare time sometimes because it's a double whammy. You're unwinding, you're enjoying yourself, and you're getting a shit done.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
you know,
so anyway, crazy. Discovering yourself. It's fun.
Yeah. Discover you. It's so much fun. Yeah. I understand that kind of meandering thing too. Like what I find is like
the whole like, what do I do?
Whenever I have to prepare food, I just run around the house like a squirrel just eating. When I'm hungry, I'm like, or like when you're putting forest down and I need to clean up, I'll like do some things in the kitchen, but that like I'll just like squirrel over here, like eat some nuts here.
Yep.
And then I'll just like go like shuffle the kitchen, maybe put some in the dishwasher, and then move over.
Oh my gosh, we are so similar on those things because
just airy.
And the fact that you've talked about doing that makes me more aware of when I'm doing it. Like we were camping and Jessica was getting some food ready and some dinner, and I wanted to help. And so I started like walking really purposefully and doing things, and I felt really busy, but I realized I just walked one single piece of garbage all the way across the campsite to where the garbage can was and walked back. But I was walking with purpose. And now I'm looking for, there's another piece of garbage that I will now walk over to. What am I doing?
It kind of reminds me of my brilliant cleaning up strategy when there's
just look busy.
Yeah, when there's like...
You've done that in the kitchen with me so many times.
Oh, yeah. Now to the point where it's just, when you work on a skill and then you just get good at it, you don't even think about it. Mm-hmm. That's the level of
you call it
procrasticleaning I've ever done.
Oh, my gosh.
But it was great because what you do is when there's... Preferably at like a Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas where there's a lot of family around and there's a lot of dishes and it's like... There's like 4 people in the kitchen all cleaning, and then you're just like, I don't want to look like, I don't want to be the people that's sitting around.
Yeah, definitely don't want to be those, like, it's pretty conspicuous. You're like, that person hasn't gotten up off the couch for the past half hour.
Yeah, but sometimes the hardest part about cleaning up is making these little decisions. Where do things go? Like, you just, you know what I mean? So what you do is you just like walk around and lift up some things, move it over to a different place, turn on the sink, wash your hands. That's always a good sign. Like, they're washing their hands, are about to do things.
That's so funny.
Pull out, like, just put like a towel around your shoulder.
You know what? I totally know what you mean. And I think...
Open drawers, close them.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think the main thing, there's two factors to like combating that. Number one, intention. You need to like mindfulness, just pay attention to what you're doing. But number 2, compassion for the person who's doing all the freaking work. And knowing like, hey, if I jump in and be helpful here, then it's going to go smoother for everybody. So, and that's something that I've really had to work on and realizing like, why does that person always have to do it? Why don't we all work together?
There are people that enjoy that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's just a thing you tell yourself.
No. I don't think that's true. I think there's some great satisfaction in cleaning up once you're good at it, and
That's
it's not
true.
frustrating.
No, definitely. When we're at your parents' house, your dad usually really seems eager to load the dishwasher.
Yeah.
And that I can understand, because when you have a way of loading your dishwasher, and somebody comes along and just starts putting stuff in there, like, whoa. Bowls don't go on the top. These things can stack like this. You know what? Just let me do it.
Yeah, my dad's a dishwasher king for sure. He knows how to put shit in, close it and turn it on, and then he knows the trick of when it's done, you open it a little bit.
He knows that trick?
Well, he taught me that trick.
He did?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I would like to shake that man's hand.
It's a great trick. Then you don't have to,
hand dry
all the Tupperware.
Yeah.
Here's a funny story. Totally unrelated, but I said Tupperware.
That's funny. Wait, you've told this story.
No.
Yes.
Really?
The Tupperware story.
Oh, man.
You totally have told it.
My brother used to think Tupperware was spelt with a C-U at the beginning.
C-U-N.
C-U-N. Oh, yeah.
C-U-N Tupperware?
And so when they first got married to Mallory, he was like writing a grocery list. She's like, we need Tupperware. And then he starts writing C-U-N-T. And she's like, what? And I think he just combined Tupperware container. At first I was like, that's so random. But I'm like, oh, Tupperware container.
Yeah.
He probably just like
Tupperware.
Dyslexified those two words.
It actually should just be called Tupperware.
Yeah. I like that word, Tupperware.
Me too.
Kind of reminds me of the word contemporary.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it definitely doesn't sound like C-U-N-T.
Cunt?
Because that would be like cunt Tupperware.
Cunt Tupperware.
Cunt Tupperware.
I don't mind that word, cunt.
I don't mind it either. I think people get a little bit overly offended by that word.
It's like dick.
You know what? It's kind of like the F word though. Like when it's being used with like a little bit of like malice or, like aggression.
Yeah.
That's when it just doesn't sound nice, because the aggression doesn't sound nice.
Yeah.
It's like if somebody's talking to me aggressively, they don't have to say the F word for me to not enjoy it. Right.
But
the F word
it is one of those words that get thrown in there and changes things. Like if I'm mad at you and I'm like, oh, you're just such a doink right now.
Yeah.
You'd laugh. But if I was like, you are such a cunt right now, that would be you would leave. You would get out the door.
Oh, absolutely.
You take the baby and you'd be like, I'm staying at my mom's house.
Something. Like, I don't know.
But
like
it's just
a
a
tea
word.
Towel. Why am I assuming I'm holding a tea towel? I'm just like so domesticated.
Or what if it's just like, you're such a vagina? That'd be like, that's so funny.
Yeah, I'd probably just laugh.
And we'd be like, oh, that inserted humor into this stressful
situation. But name calling is
situation.
just not good in general. Like even if it's joking, because
I've always thought that like curse words, I was like, why are they called curse words? Well, if somebody's just like, flips you off, or even if a stranger drives past you and is like, fuck you,
just wishing you ill,
sticks with you.
Yeah.
Like, or if somebody like genuinely like curses you with a word and says F you, it's just like that sticks with you.
Yeah, if you just think about it like swapping energies, and they just like threw a toxic ball of slime at you energetically. And yeah, and it doesn't.
Do you believe in curses? Do you think you can curse people? Do you think you could like bury a black chicken in their front yard?
You know what? I don't know. I don't know anything.
Voodoo dolls? What do you think of that?
I have no opinion on those things because I just don't know enough.
But I always think like, oh, those are fake. Those aren't real. It's like, well, then why are they in mythology? Why are they used a lot? Because at some point they'd be like, this isn't working. I
know it's really hard to sift through those things and be like, okay, so what things are like fun mythology because they were bored, and what things are like there because it's just been thousands and thousands of years of like, yes, okay, there are vampires.
There's people that have careers as like warlock kind of bad people that like are
bad like, people,
not bad people, but like.
Are all warlocks bad?
No, I didn't mean bad. That's not what I was saying.
Your traditional Christian roots are showing.
No, don't even. Get out of here. Get out of that. Leave. Get out.
Oh, Johnny, that's hurtful.
Get out. I'm just kidding. But that was a spike of energy cursing.
That was hurtful.
I'm sorry. I forgive myself.
Well,
it's important to forgive yourself, if you want to have forgiveness.
We actually have talked about this in a podcast before, where you forgave yourself
really?
Before. Like you said, I'm sorry, I forgive me.
No.
Something along those lines. Yeah, no, but we talked about forgiving yourself and why.
Sure. Forgive and forget. But that's a hard thing to do. Try to forget about something. You can't do it. Like, think of a thought and try to forget about it.
Yeah.
It's like...
You can forget about it, but not if you try.
Yeah. Man, could you imagine if you had to consciously think of every breath that you take? That'd be the worst.
I've actually thought... Have you ever noticed that if you start thinking about swallowing, it's really hard to do?
Yeah.
Like, how do I swallow?
How do you do anything?
Oh, it's okay. I can
Think
swallow
about
now.
your
I
heartbeat.
just remember being a kid and being like, oh no, I can't swallow anymore. Oh, you know what that probably was? I bet you that was when I had a cold. And now as an adult, I know it's hard to swallow because it's like...
Especially when you've been coughing all the time.
Build up and all that stuff. Yeah, but as a kid, it was just like, oh no, now I can't swallow. It's probably because I'm thinking about it too hard. Why are you poking yourself in the eye with your microphone?
I'm tired.
Okay.
I have work to do tonight.
Okay, well, let's just wrap her
It's almost
up.
10, and we've been doing this for an hour, which has been great. So...
This is verging on whining. Why don't you just say, you know what? Why don't we go ahead and wrap this up?
Well, you know what? Let's go ahead and pull the plug on this baby.
How come we've never said pull the plug on this before?
Let's pull the plug on
term.
this old, sad, dying podcast.
I didn't think it was that sad, and it definitely didn't seem like it was dying. It's just going to sleep for the night.
Okay, pop quiz. Abortion, what do you think? Are you for it? Against it? Also, lethal injection. Do you think people should be
This
killed?
is what you do at the end of the podcast.
Also,
you always bring up some big stuff.
No. Also, assisted suicide. What's your stance on that?
Oh my goodness. Who was it that... Oh, no, not talking about that. Not talking about any of those things. I pass.
What do you genuinely think about, transgender people and pronouns? What are your honest feelings towards that?
What I would like to know is what you have against chocolate chip cookies.
Well, first of all that wheat and sugar.
Oh.
That's what I literally have against them. If you just didn't have the wheat or sugar, I'd be all for it.
So you would eat a stick of butter with baking soda?
No, not baking soda.
Why?
Just get it out of there. Don't want it.
Give me the butter. Just give me the butter straight
Give
up.
me some butter. Mix it with some cocoa powder. Throw in an egg or two.
Well,
I'll eat it. You know what? Have you ever thought about ice cream without sugar? Do they make it? What would it be like?
I thought about that. Yeah, that would be actually pretty...
Would it?
It could be...
Would it be okay? Or would it be kind of like, oh, this tastes really...
No, because cream already has natural sugars in it. So it'd probably be like tasty. It'd probably be like when you eat whipped cream without sugar.
Oh, there we go.
It's still tasty.
It's great.
It's just like...
I bet it'd be refreshing. We should make some.
Yeah, it's like having blueberries with cream.
Okay, that's our task for this week. We're going to make ice cream.
We could make ice cream and we use like something like blueberries with just cream and no sugar. And see what that would taste like.
Okay, next week on the podcast, we're gonna make a homemade recipe of blueberry ice cream with no sugar, and we're gonna share it with you, typed out really nice on our blog, Johnny and
How do you type out
Carly.org.
ice cream exactly? A coder would be able to tell you.
Yeah, you can type out almost anything.
That's actually a crazy thought.
Yeah, well,
you can type out a scene.
You can type out
like
this whole podcast.
But like visuals, you can type out visual things.
Sure.
Wow. Okay. Good
I didn't get
night.
what you just said, but that's okay.
Yeah, it's getting too tired now.
And I'm just also like a little bit like, oh, I have work to do.
Well, just turn the podcast off. Why are we still talking? Just go.
All right.
Love you.
Love you too. Signing off.
Talk to you next week.
But really, we're going to talk right after. Stop this.
Maybe. Another week of merriment in the bag. Congratulations on prioritizing having a little bit of fun in your day today. Thank you for listening. And hey, did you know that you can find Merriment on Spotify? Some people find it super easy to subscribe over there so they can get their podcasts automatically downloaded. Anything we've talked about in the podcast that you want to check out for yourself, head over to carlyandjohnny.com for more info. We also have an email subscription you can sign up for while you're there, which just means you get an email every time a new podcast comes out. And hey, we'll catch you next week.